तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः.
Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibireeditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadatatam Bhuigrunantiye Bhurida Jana. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and the conversations of June 30, Monday, June 30, 1884. That Ratha Yatra is still going on, and Pandit Shashadhar has come to pay return visit to Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna is continuing the same talk, and is telling very much about the immanence of God. And that is, Thakur's speciality becomes very clear here. People have not given a thought to that at all. And somehow, though the Upanishads very clear about that, when we study Upanishads, we see that if there is a one mantra talking about Nirguna Brahma, it is followed by 10 mantras giving Saguna Brahma. And I have found that in the same mantra in which Nirguna is given, Sagun is told about. So as Thakur said that the weight of the bell fruit will be reduced. That means without thinking of the world as God's play, we have not realized God fully. This has to be hammered in the Nirgunavadis. And Thakur did it to his own teacher Tatapuri. And Thakur did it to Narendranath before he realized. So this is a departure from the so-called traditional Vedanta. So-called means somewhere the tradition is lost. And as Holy Mother has said, the old people, old Mahapurushas, they emphasize some aspect of spiritual life, as a result of which other bhavas got suppressed. So that is very clear here, that Shankaracharya has emphasized the Nirguna aspect because that was necessary in that age. But now we read the same thing and we don't think about the Saguna Brahma at all. Even today, we'll find the same thing. I remember one of our Swamis, much senior to me, thoroughly dissolved into that old traditional Vedanta, and used to say, whatever you say, the ultimate is Nirguna. He was not ready to believe what Thakur is telling, though he was a devotee of Thakur. So this thing has to be hammered. And here we see the Pandit acknowledging that. So we go back a few sentences. We go back a few paras. What is samadhi? It is the complete merging of the mind in God consciousness. The jnani experiences jada samadhi, in which no trace of I is left. This samadhi attained through the path of bhakti is called chetan samadhi. Now that makes another departure in Thakur's teaching. Anything less than nirguna is not accepted as mukti by Shankaracharya. And Thakur says for the devotees, Sagun Brahma realization is enough. There is mukti. Shankar, with great difficulty, calls it as Krama Mukti. But Thakur is not making any such distinction. We have thought about that for one kalpa, if a man remains in the close vicinity of God and enjoying that bliss, then is that not mukti? And some people from there will get real mukti. So we find three types of people in Ramakrishna Loka or Brahma Loka or Goloka. One type remaining there will go to mukti, real mukti. One type will come back to this world. May not be to the lower avidya maya status. And the third type will be, they go back with Brahma. When the Brahma controls his Leela, when Brahma swallows the world, they go back to Brahma. And they may have to come back again. So, three types. One is that they themselves come down. One is that they will go with Brahma and come after a kalpa. And third type of people will have vairagya and from there they will go. In this way we can understand. And this, after nirguna, if they come to sagun, then that question does not arise. That saguna is Thakur is calling vijnani. So we make clear distinction. For the devotees, he has not gone to nirgun. For the vijnanis, he has gone to nirgun and come back to the field of dualism. So his dualism is an enlightened dualism. So that both of them, especially the enlightened dualism, Thakur is emphasizing again and again, because the old tradition does not talk of that. And we see clearly, the Pandit says, I haven't thought deeply about these things before, but now I understand. So he has understood, and there is a chance that he will realize. But the Pandit depends very much on his reason. So he says, now I understood. So we follow from here. Master, God keeps a little of I in his devotees even after giving him the knowledge of Brahman. So he has taken another case. There is a devotee. So the devotee does not want to become sugar. But God has given him Brahmajnana. So what the Pandit was telling will not be dissolved in sugar. Yes, God has given him. But after that, God has kept I in him. So I is kept, that means world is real. And Thakur says little of I. So little of I necessary to keep the body on. If there is no eye, body will not remain. And if it is full eye, then you will be like ordinary people. That eye is the eye of the devotee, the eye of the jnani. So, two types, eye of the devotee, eye of the jnani. Okay. That mold of mind is like that. Through that eye, the devotee enjoys the infinite play of God. So, having told about devotee and jnani, he is again talking of the devotee mind. Huh? So, what the devotee does? Enjoy the infinite play of God, limitless play of God. Now there is a allegory in Thakur stop. It is a very different context. I read in the next line. The pestle was almost worn out with rubbing. Now what was the pestle? The Krishna's clan, Yadus, were all near Prabhas on the seashore. And out of frolic, they drank a lot of wine. And some great sages were there passing. And they played some trick on them. One of them, perhaps Samba was his name, they tied dhotis or clothes on his stomach to appear he is carrying a child. And they asked the rishis whether this fetus will become a boy or a girl. Will you please tell us? The rishis understood the trick immediately and they gave a curse for playing such a bad joke. That a pestle will come out of this, not boy or girl. And that pestle will cause the destruction of your race. So they all became afraid. And when they removed the cloths and all that, a pestle already came out. So becoming afraid, they rubbed that pestle so that it will dissolve like atomic bristle. And they washed that in the ocean. That came back with the foam and the grass on the bank. They attached to that. And that little bit which had remained, they threw in the ocean. The tip was swallowed by a fish. And the fisherman caught that fish and sold it to a hunter. And a hunter found that tip. So he thought a good use of that. And he attached it to one of his arrows. Now, out of too much wine, they started quarreling with each other. And taking that grass, they started hitting each other. And they killed each other fully, smashed, because that contained that powder of the pestle. And an hunter, the Sri Krishna became Udasi. And going at a little distance, below a tree, he lied down, keeping one leg on the other. You have seen that posture? With me, it is very common. Keep your left leg and knee up, and on that rest the right leg. So, through that foliage of the tree, only the foot was available. And Sri Krishna's foot was red in color. So, from a distance, the hunter thought it is a deer. And he shot that up. And that pierced Sri Krishna's feet. And then Sri Krishna decided to give up his body. That is the full story. Thakur is using this for allegory. Let us see. A mere, where is it? The vessel was almost worn out with rubbing. Only a little was left. That fell into the underbrush and brought about the destruction of the lunar race. Sri Krishna's clan is called Chandravamshi. That race of the Yadus. That is the allegory used. The Vijnani retains the eye of the devotee. Now, devotee and Jnani both I restored. Now it comes to the Vijnani. A Jnani with full knowledge is again a Bhakta. The Vijnani retains the eye of the devotee, the eye of the Jnani, in order to taste the bliss of God and teach people. So, two purposes. That Vijnani may be a devotee or a Jnani, or may have both types of eye. And by one eye, he tastes the bliss of God, and by the other, he teaches people. Very clear. The rishis of old had timid natures. That means, Bhaitarase. Somehow we want to cross. Let me somehow get my own salvation. Who cares for others? A hollow piece of driftwood somehow manages to float, but it sinks if even a bird sits on it. Driftwood. But Narada and sages of his kind are like a huge log that not only can float across to the other shore, but can carry many animals and other creatures as well. Another example, a steamship itself crosses the ocean and also carries people across. So that is where the ego is used. From this you understand the motto of Swami Vivekananda, Atmano Mokshartham Jagad Hitaya. Teachers like Narada belong to the class of the Vijnani. They were much more courageous than the other rishis. They are like an expert Satranj player. Satranj, you know what it is?
Kind of Ludo.
No, chess, dama board. Hindi is Satranj. Oh, it is what you say, huh? Dice game. Dice game. You must have noticed how he shouts as he throws the dice. What do I want? 6? No, 5. Here is 5. And every time he throws the dice, he gets the number he wants. Now that dice is cube. So it has 1 to 6 on that. He does not want 6, so 5. He is such a clever player. And while playing, he even twirls his mustaches. So a confident player. And he, according to his will, things happen. A mere jnani trembles with fear. Mere jnani mold up. He is like an amateur shatranj player. He is anxious to move his pieces somehow to the safety zone, where they won't be overtaken by his opponent. But a Vijnani isn't afraid of anything. He has realized both aspects of God, personal and impersonal. I told you yesterday the Mundaka Upanishad shloka. Tasmin drishte paravare. So the Upanishad is clear on that point. The Gita 13th chapter has a shloka to that effect. Yada bhuta prithak bhavam ekatvam anupashyati tata evacha vistaram brahma sampadete tada. A man has really realized Brahman only when he sees the many vanish into one and from that one again spreading like many. Now mere reason won't solve this. Rishi's experience. That from that one the world is coming out. That is exactly the mantra of the Mundaka Upanishad. Yattad adrishyam agrayam, etc. Tad bhuta yonim paripashyanti dhira. So that transcendent reality, the dhira, the wise people, saw that is the source of the world. He has talked with God. That is Thakur's specialty. When we think of God as a person, then this is possible. And he is friend with God. He is not afraid or awe of God. So he talks. And we see clearly these things in Thakur. He has talked with God, he has enjoyed the bliss of God. It is a joy to merge the mind in the individual Brahman through contemplation. So that also is a joy. And it is also a joy to keep the mind on the Leela, the relative, without dissolving it in the absolute. We clearly understand that Thakur is unique in this respect, and it may appear as a new doctrine, though it is full in the Upanishads and the Gita. A mere jnani is a monotonous person. He said that I have not given much thought to it, then Thakur has come down to this. He always analyzes, saying, it is not this, not this. The world is like a dream. But I have raised both my hands, therefore I accept everything. This is another allegory. Two women, friends of each other, and one had the business of making threads and putting them in ropes. So her friend had gone to her house, and when she was not noticing, she stole one or two different color balls, and that friend came out. So hurriedly she hid it under her armpit. Now the host understood that But she did not want to create bad blood and shout and all that. So she said, after a long time you have come, friend, let us dance. She could not say no, but she was dancing with one hand raised because she has hidden that. So she said, let us dance with both hands. That is the allegory. So, whether to keep that eye or not, leave it to God. That is the means of raising both the hands. Don't keep something to you. But I raise both my hands, therefore I accept everything. Listen to a story. Same. Now time is telling the story. First told the conclusion, now it says. Once a woman went to see her weaver friend. The weaver, who had been spinning different kinds of silk thread, was very happy to see her friend and said to her, friend, I can't tell you how happy I am to see you. Let me get you some refreshment. She left the room. The woman looked at the threads of different colors and was tempted. She hid a bundle of thread under one arm. The weaver returned presently with the refreshments and began to feed her guest with great enthusiasm. But looking at the thread, she realized that her friend had taken a bundle. Hitting upon a plan to get it back, she said, friend, it is so long since I have seen you. This is a day of great joy for me. I feel very much like asking you to dance with me. The friend said, sister, I am feeling very happy too. So the two friends began to dance together. When the weaver saw that her friend danced without raising her hand, she said, friend, let us dance with both hands raised. This is a day of great joy. But the Greece pressed one arm to her side and danced, raising only the other. First, without raising the hands. And when she said, then one hand. How is, the viewer said, how is this, friend? Why should you dance with only one hand raised? Dance with me raising both hands. Look at me. See how I dance with both hands raised. But the guest still pressed one arm to her side. She danced with the other hand raised and said with a smile, this is all I know how to see. The master, funny story they would. The master continued, I don't press my arm to my side. Both my hands are free. I am not afraid of anything. I accept both the Nitya and the Leela, both the absolute and the relative. I accept means I take both of them to be real in their own places. I said to Keshav Sen that he would not be able to realize God without renouncing the ego. He said, sir, in that case, I should not be able to keep my organization together. So something is there which holds you back. Therefore, I said to him, I am asking you to give up the unripe ego, the wicked ego. But there is no harm in the ripe ego, the child ego, the servant ego, the ego of knowledge. We understood this clearly. Raw ego means relating to body, mind, and ripe ego means in relation with God. So that will not give any harm. It is God's ego in a way. The worldly man's ego, the servant ego, the ego of, no, the worldly man's ego, the ignorant ego, the unripe ego is like a thick stick. It divides as it were the water of the ocean of Satchidananda. But the servant ego, the child ego, the ego of knowledge is like a line on the water, not stick. One clearly sees that there is only one expanse of water. A beautiful allegory, beautiful. The dividing line makes it appear that the water has two parts, but one clearly sees that in reality there is only one expanse of water. Shankaracharya kept the ego of knowledge in order to teach people. God keeps in many people the ego of Jnani or the ego of a Bhakta even after they have attained Brahmajnana. Hanuman, after realizing God in both his personal and his impersonal aspect, that is Hanuman's beauty, cherished towards God the attitude of a servant, a devotee. He said to Rama, "O Rama, sometimes I think that you are the whole and I am a part of you. Sometimes I think that you are the master and I am your servant. And sometimes, Rama, when I contemplate the Absolute, I see that I am you and you are I." Iti me nishchitamati. Rama asked him, there were people around. Hanuman was serving, messaging feet. People did not know Hanuman's knowledge. Feeling that, Rama asked Hanuman in front of all, "What is your idea about me?" Or what is your idea? What is your mati, buddhi, firm conviction? Now, he does not have one type of firm conviction. When I have body consciousness, I know I am the servant. It appears like dualism. When I think I am a jiva, then I am a pure part. So the cosmic mind and our mind, they are part and whole. And when I contemplate on the Absolute, what you are, that I am, what I am, that you are. That is my conviction. That is my buddhi. That is Atman. So my buddhi is not one of these three. My buddhi is that in three states I am like this. That is my firm conviction. Yashoda became grief-stricken at being separated from Krishna and called on Radha. Radha saw Yashoda's suffering and revealed herself to her as a divine Shakti, which was her real nature. She said to Yashoda, "Krishna is Chidatma, absolute consciousness, and I am Chit Shakti, the primal power. Ask a boon of me." Yashoda said, "I don't want Brahmajnana. Please grant me only this, that I may see the form of Gopala in my meditation, that I may always have the company of Krishna's devotees, that I may always serve the devotees of God, that I may always chant God's name and glory." So, constitution. In Marathi, there is a saint poet, Tukaram. Now, Tukaram is actually a dualist. And his Abhangas, his paths are very beautiful to sing about devotion to God. And one of the padas is, "I don't want Brahmajnana. Let me be a devotee and you my Lord." One of our Swamis passed away recently, Purnakamananda, the ex-Mahanta of Mangalore, who continued to stay in Mahanta after retirement. Now, when I was there, he felt inspired to sing. His voice was sweet. And it's so much shouting. "Don't want Brahmajnana." We are all laughing. Anyway, before his departure for Mathura, Krishna wanted to give the knowledge of Brahman to the gopis. He said to them, "I dwell both inside and outside all thick beings. Why should we see only one form of might? The gopis cried in chorus, "Oh Krishna, do you want to go away from us? Is that why you are instructing us in Brahmajnana?" Do you know the attitude of the gopis? It is this: we are Radha and Radha is ours. Where from Thakur gets all this? A devotee. Does this I of the devotee never disappear altogether? Master, yes, it disappears at times. Then one attains the knowledge of Brahman and goes into Samadhi. So, before Nirgun realization, he has described the devotees. But they do get Nirvikalpa Samadhi. I too lose it, but not for all the time. Now, Thakur is different. He has dissolved already and come back. So, not for all the time. In the musical scale, there are 7 notes, sa re ga ma pa da ni, but one cannot keep one's voice on ni a long time. One must bring it down again to the lower notes. To keep the body, if you want the lila, I pray to the Divine Mother, O Mother, do not give me Brahmajnana. Now Thakur's asking, don't give it after he has attained Brahmajnana. But he does not want to merge, he wants to play. And so it is already. Formerly, believers in God with form used to visit me a great deal. Then the modern Brahmajnanis began to write about the Brahma Samaj people. During that period, I used to remain unconscious in Samadhi most of the time. Whenever I regained consciousness, I would say to the Divine Mother, "Oh Mother, please don't give me Brahmajnana," because he wants to converse with people. Pandit, does now Thakur is telling I used to say this to God, that to God. So that has raised the question. Does God listen to our prayers? Master, God is the Kalpataru, the wish-fulfilling tree. You will certainly get whatever you ask of him, but you must pray standing near the Kalpataru. That means first be near to God, then you are. So understood this. I am praying. God should listen, not necessary. This is a beautiful thing. If God listens to our prayer or not, if you are very near God, he listens. Only then will your prayer be fulfilled. But you must remember another thing. God knows our inner feeling. So we need not ask also God. A man gets the fulfillment of the desire he cherishes while practicing sadhana. This infinite moods of God, play of God, and devotees' attitudes is really the whole of religion. As one thinks, so one receives. A magician was showing his tricks before a king. Now and then he exclaimed, "Come confusion, come delusion, O king, give me money, give me clothes." Suddenly his tongue turned upward and close to the roof of his mouth. You know that. And rivers become stuck there. He experienced kumbhaka, that means breathing stopped. He could utter neither word nor sound and became motionless. People thought he was dead. They built a vault of bricks and buried him there in that posture. After 1,000 years, someone dug into the vault. Inside it, people found a man seated in samadhi. They took him for a holy man and worshipped him. When they shook him, his tongue was loosened and regained its normal position. The magician became conscious of the outer world and cried as he had 1,000 years before. So without jnana, this is what happened. Come confusion, come delusion. Oh king, give me money, give me clothes. So this is called kumbhaka. People, Hatha yogis, they get buried underground for 1 week or 1 month like that and come up. And people think greatly of them. I used to weep praying to the Divine Mother, "O Mother, destroy with thy thunderbolt my inclination to reason." Because the reason is not going to solve any problem except the experience. Pandit, then you too had an inclination to reason. He catches the point. Huh? Master, yes, once. Pandit, then please assure us that we shall get rid of that inclination too. How did you get rid of yours? Master, oh, somehow or other. Because that is too deep a thing. He is God himself. So there is no answer to that. Sri Ramakrishna was silent a while. Then he went on with his conversation. You understood this? He is not replying to that question. Master, God is the Kalpataru. One should pray standing near it. He has brought that topic again. Then one will get whatever one desires. How many things God has created? Infinite is His universe. But what need I have to know about His infinite splendors? If I must know this, let me first realize Him. Then God Himself will tell me all about them. Ishwar and Aishwarya. What need I have to know how many houses and how many government securities Jadu Malik possessed? In those days, the only safekeeping of money was government notes. It did not earn much interest, but it was very safe. So that is the use. Huh? Nowadays, fixed deposits like that. What need? All that I need to somehow converse with Jadumalli. I may succeed in seeing him by jumping over a ditch or get a chance to talk to him. Then he himself will tell me all about his possessions if I ask him. So going some or other is the main thing. If one becomes acquainted with the master, then one is respected by his officers too. That means he gets glory in the world also. In Chandi, it is little different. Tvam ashritam ashrayatam praya. They become ashraya of people. There are some who do not care to know the splendors of God. What do I care about knowing how many gallons of wine there are in the tower? One bottle is enough for me. Why should I desire the knowledge of God's splendors? I am intoxicated with the little wine I have swallowed. That is Jnanonmatta, Premonmatta. Both Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga are paths by which you can realize God. Whatever path you may follow, you will certainly realize Him. The path of Bhakti is an easy one. easy one because it tallies with our nature. The path of knowledge and discrimination is very difficult. Why should one reason so much to know which path is the best? That Arjuna's question. Huh? I talked about this with Vijay for many days. Vijay Krishna Goswami, a Brahmo who turned into Vaishnava again by Thakur's company. Once I told him about a man who used to pray, "Oh God, reveal to me who and what you are." That is the best attitude. Huh? The path of knowledge and discrimination is difficult indeed. Parvati, the Divine Mother, revealed her various forms to her father. Parvati is the daughter of Himalaya, the king. And he understood that Parvati is the universal mother and all that when she was married to Shiva. So when she came to her father's house, he said, "I'm your father. I have some claim." She said, "All right. Whatever you want to ask you." So he asked for any divine visions. She said, "Close your eyes and just imagine that and you will get that." Then he said, "I want to experience Nirguna Brahma also." She said, "You'll have to keep company of sadhus." So all this becomes constitution of the mind. Parvati, Divine Mother, revealed her various forms to her father and said, "Father, if you want Brahmajnana, then live in the company of holy men." Holy men here is used as sannyasis. So their mental constitution is like that. Brahman cannot be described in words. It is said in the Ramagita that Brahman has only been indirectly hinted at by the scripture. Lakshya, not Vachya. When one speaks about the covered village on the Ganges, one indirectly states that the village is situated on the bank of the Ganges. Lakshana. Why shouldn't a man be able to realize the formless Brahman? But it is extremely difficult. Class चल रही है भैया. But it is extremely difficult. He is repeating this thought hundreds of times to impress upon the mind. He cannot, if he has even the slightest trace of worldliness. That is the difficulty. Worldliness, subject-object nature. He can be directly aware of Brahman in his inmost consciousness only when he renounces all sense objects, form, taste, smell, touch, and sound, and only when his mind completely stops functioning. Understood? And then too, he knows only this much of Brahman, that it exists. He does not know its play. Quoting from an Upanishad, the Pandit said, "It is to be experienced only as existence." All this is from Kathopanishad. Yada panchavatiष्ठन्ते ज्ञानानि मनसा स buddhischa na vicheshrati tamahu paramam gatim, and asti teva palabdavyam tattva bhavena chavaya. That the Pandit says. Master, in order to realize God, a devotee should make use of a particular attitude. So that is the easiest way, according to Thakur. The attitude of a hero or a friend or a handmaid or a child. So this hero is the tantra practice. Manimalli, the Brahma devotee sitting there all the time. Huh? Only then can one feel attached to God. So he has like that idea that some relation has to be there. Master, for many days I cherished the feeling that I was a companion of the Divine Mother. I used to say I am the handmaid of Brahma Mai, the blissful mother. O companions of the Divine Mother, make me the mother's handmaid. I shall go about proudly saying, I am Brahma Mai's handmaid. Ah, some souls realize God without, without practicing any spiritual discipline. They are called Nitya Siddha, eternally perfect. Those who have realized God through austerity, japa and the like are called Sadhana Siddha, perfect through spiritual discipline. Again, there are those called Kripa Siddha, perfect through divine grace. Thakur knows so many things, we do not know them. This is a big scripture of scriptures. These last may be compared to a room kept dark 1,000 years, which becomes light the moment a lamp is brought in. There is also a class of devotees, the Hatat Siddha. That is to say, those who have suddenly attained God vision. Their case is like that of a poor boy who has suddenly found favor with a rich man. The rich man marries his daughter to the boy and along with her gives him land, house, carriage, servants, and so forth. Examples for everything which will carry the message. There is still another class of devotees, the Swapna Siddha, who have had the vision of God in a dream. Surendra, smiling. Let us go to sleep then. We shall wake and find ourselves babus, aristocrats. That means having realized God. Master, tenderly, because he loves Surendra. You are already a babu. You are already a devotee, favored devotee of Thakur himself. No? When the letter A joined to the letter K becomes Ka. Now in English spelling we can't understand this. Huh? They have used the diacritical mark. It is futile to add another A. If you add it, you will still have the same Ka or La. So this is the beautiful example. Ka becomes Ka. What will Ka become? Nothing. The Nitya Siddha is in a class apart. Huh? He is like Arani wood. A wood used for the home. A little rubbing produces fire. You can get fire from it even without rubbing. The Nitya Siddha realizes God by practicing slight spiritual discipline and sometimes without practicing anyone at all. But it does practice spiritual discipline after realizing God. That becomes his habit. He is like the gourd or pumpkin wine. First fruit, then flower. The Pandit smiled at the illustration. Master, there is the instance of Prahlada. He was Nitya Siddha. While writing the letter Ka, he shed a stream of tears. Ka is the beginning of the name Krishna. That is the time. So Ka was enough for him. The master was pleased with the Pandit's humility. He praised him to the devotees. Master, he has such a nice nature. He had humility, but actually in front of Thakur he has bowed down. You find no difficulty in driving a nail into a mud wall, but the but its point breaks if you try to drive it against a stone, and still it will not pierce it. Receptivity. There are people whose spiritual consciousness is not at all awakened, even though they hear about God 1,000 times. They are like a crocodile on whose hide you cannot make any impression with a sword. Pandit. But one can hurt a crocodile by throwing a spear into its belly. That means from other side you can pierce it. Master smiling. What good is there in reading? We stop here. Huh? The conversation is not ending yet. Now I have an announcement to make. In the morning I forgot. Tomorrow is Bengali New Year's Day, a public holiday followed by Advaita Ashram. And so I am also following it. So tomorrow there will be no class in the morning also, please, nor in the evening, and it is followed by Sunday. So the next class will be on Monday. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhuridajana. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanam. That pouch, in that you put all this.